Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.
Hello and welcome to the Leveling Up podcast with me, George Swift. The Leveling Up podcast is here to give you the entrepreneurial development, the personal development, and the business growth that you, the ambitious business owner, desires. I'm here to give you the inspiration, the motivation, and to challenge your aspirations to take you and your business to the next level. Don't forget, subscribe and never miss an episode. And today's episode, we are sitting in the transitional phase of 2019 going into 2020. Christmas has passed, New Year's is coming, and we're kind of sitting in that space in the middle, that kind of nothing space where you're kind of still in Christmas mode. You're probably still eating a little bit of leftovers from Christmas. You're probably still indulging yourself a little bit too much, and you're kind of getting yourself ready for maybe a New Year's bash. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, maybe you're even starting to think about goals for next year. If you're not, you probably want to start thinking about goals for 2020. But here's the theme of today's Friday 5-minute fix. And that is to live and exist in the possibility of what could be next year. So I'm talking to you about starting to think about goals, and you probably should be thinking about goals. However, I don't think you should be setting goals right now. In fact, I think you should be keeping well clear of setting goals. And here's another thing. I don't think you should be setting New Year's resolutions either. We'll be talking a lot about goals in the next episode. It will be our entry into 2020, episode number 79. So look out for that one. We'll be talking about goals. We'll be talking about New Year's resolutions. We'll be talking about how to make 2020 the best year you possibly can. I'll almost certainly be calling bullshit on New Year's resolutions and why they don't work, they haven't worked, and they never will work for the majority of people. However, before we even get caught up into the nitty-gritty of actually setting our goals for 2020, I want you to exist in possibility. The possibility of what could be in 2020. The possibility of what could be beyond 2020. In fact, I've often said this to people, more often than not, the possibility of something is even better, it's even sweeter than the actuality of the thing. In other words, the dream bit before you actualize the dream can be absolutely as enticing, it can be even sweeter tasting than the achievement itself. It's that moment before you get the new iPhone, or it's the week leading up to the new car. It's the month leading up to the holiday. It's at the airport. It's the moment before the thing actually happens. And it might even be a year before, even 5 years before. When you exist in the possibility of what's coming, the possibility of what could be, I'm telling you now, it can be every bit as fulfilling, even more fulfilling than the actualization of the thing itself. So here's what I love about this threshold that we're crossing. As we leave 2019 behind us, and as we start to go into 2020, as we say goodbye to one decade and we start to welcome in the next, let's not nail anything down. Let's just think about what could be. What could be in our health, what could be in our relationships, what could be in our businesses, in our finances. It might even be the car, the house, the holiday you're going to have. Exist in the possibility, because right now, anything is possible. There'll be a time, and it's coming soon, where you'll have to nail down, right? And rather than living in the dream and living in possibility, you need to nail down your goals, and you'll need to start taking determined, focused action towards the achievement of those goals. And you're going to lock in, if you do goal setting properly, you're going to lock in your goals and you're going to lock in your focus for another 12 months. Before we get there, I love this moment. This moment is I can do anything, right? I can do anything. I can be anything. I can have anything. Right now, we can exist in the possibility of anything and everything. When we set our goals, we then have to go away from the idea of everything and we have to go into the anything. In other words, you can achieve anything in 2020. You just can't achieve everything. And goal setting is as much about what you're not going to do, maybe even more about what you're not going to do than what you actually are going to do. It's more about the goals you don't set than the goals that you do set. But before we even think about that, we want to live in possibility. Anything is possible in 2020. Everything is possible in 2020. We won't be able to achieve everything, and that's the fundamental point of goal setting. However, before we commit our goals, before we make our promises to ourselves, our promises to our businesses, our promises to other people, before we lay down our goals and we commit ourselves to 12 months of focused, dedicated action towards a handful of super important goals for us next year, before all of that, before the hard work begins, the sacrifice begins, before maybe even some of the discomfort begins, we get to live in the possibility of anything and everything. And this is probably my favorite time of year with goals. Like, I love the setting of goals. I love the process of laying down those goals, because the moment you set the goal, as long as you commit to the goal and take the action you need to towards those goals, then, you're going to achieve that. And I like that anticipation. I like coming to the end of goals and seeing all the hard work pay off, and looking at what I've achieved, and looking at, all the actions and the sacrifice I made, the discomfort and the pain that I had to go through this year in order to achieve those goals. I enjoy that process, don't get me wrong. I even enjoy the tireless pursuit of the goals throughout the year. But my favorite time of the year with regards to goal setting is this moment now. It's the crossing of the threshold, as I call it. It's the couple of weeks or so between the ending of one set of goals and the setting of the next set of goals. And it's the moment of possibility. Like, I could go for a holiday in 100 different places, 1,000 different places next year. Before I set my goal, before I book the holiday, I could go anywhere. And I love that. When I look at, health goals, I can do anything next year. It could be the weight loss. It could be a running goal. It could be around a strength goal, bodybuilding goal. It could be about endurance, test of stamina. It might be a tough mudder. It might be a marathon. Who knows, right? And I love the fact that whilst I can't do all of those next year, I could do any of those next year. And I could exist in the possibility of all of those things right now. When it comes to, if you're looking at buying a car next year, before you put down your deposit, before you order the car, before you set the goal around achieving the car, right now, you could buy any car. And even if, you're limiting yourself to a certain budget, it could be any car within that budget. We don't have to nail it down right now. We can achieve anything. We can live in the possibility of everything just for a little while, just for a week, just for a couple of weeks. And while everyone else goes into next year setting and failing miserably at their New Year's resolutions, you can exist in this possibility, and then we take this possibility and we actualize it through setting concrete goals. I'm going to talk to you a lot more about goals in the next session. However, for now, just exist in the possibility, embrace the possibility, live in the dream of everything, and then we'll start converting that into what you're actually going to achieve in next episode. I hope you have an absolutely awesome end to your 2019. I hope you're welcoming 2020, however you want to welcome it in. If it's drunk at the bottom of a barrel in your local pub, then I wish that for you. If it's surrounded by your loved ones, or if it's up on a hill all on your own in peace and quiet, whatever it is that you want to do to see out 2019 and to bring in the new decade of 2020, I wish that for you. I will see you next time. And until then, as always, be successful.
Leveling up. Extreme business growth through raising your game. When what was once extraordinary becomes ordinary, you know you've leveled up.